And so it just boils down to, it boils down to really, with your diet, you want a healthy and balanced diet. And you should focus more on your physical activity than you should on your diet. As long as you have a healthy diet, like, you don't have to go through this fad diet to lose weight. And well, first of all, losing weight shouldn't really be the goal unless you're like obese. And even then, like, that's a case-by-case basis and should be worked with your doctor. Like, this whole mindset of trying to be skinny is hurting people. Like, what we should focus on instead is stop forcing people to look a certain way just because it's like marketable. It's only marketable because that's the way people see it, and people only see it because people market it that way. It's like this like chicken and the egg problem, but it feeds on itself. Because, as you know, the market is only responding to public opinion. If public opinion changes, the market will change. But the public opinion won't change until the market changes. So we kind of have to awkwardly force the market. And people have to be willing to, like, get rid of, like, this notion of profit. Like, but that's not going to happen. So you have to make it worth their while, right? And so that becomes the job of people who are progressive. And that becomes our job. Is we can't just say, oh, you know, Greenpeace, you know, we need to make the world a better place. Like, we can't do that. We have to say, hey, your bottom line is going to be affected by this. You know, if you want, and you know, you have to convince them of reality, obviously not lying. You have to convince them of the reality that this is not a sustainable business practice, that you can hold out for something bigger if you change these practices, and how you change that can just be like what you figure out. Like maybe you like gradually ease it in, or maybe you just suddenly change it and say, hey, you know what, we're the standard, this is the new standard, and deal with it. And yeah, you might risk losing a lot of business, but some people can afford that. And I feel like if you really want to change the world, you have to take that risk. I mean, some people can. Some people have more than enough money than they could ever spend their entire life. And you have to make the decision, like if you're Elon Musk or whatever, you have to make the decision where either I can temporarily use this money to help the planet, or I can invest this money for the future, which is what Elon Musk is doing. Like, that's why he's developing, like, you know, technology like that's going to actually revolutionize modern medicine and the modern world. Like people don't really see that. They see some crazy billionaire doing all these things that he just wants to do, and obviously he has every right to do it. It's money that he's earned. And then people will say, oh, but he's earned it off the backs of people. Fuck that. You know, like, dude, like, somebody who's, like, taking their money and investing it in the entire human species to prevent climate change, to undo climate change, to put us out into space so that we can, like, mine asteroids and, like, completely revolutionize the way our society works, maybe even become a Type 1 civilization. Like, people are so short-sighted. There's people out there with his kind of money who are preventing this progress, who are actively preventing people like Elon Musk from doing what he wants, from making actual progress. And instead, they see one person use their money that they may or may not have gotten through, you know, bad business practices. You know, sometimes the end justifies the means, okay? Don't blame the player, blame the game. Are you gonna, like, focus on somebody who does evil business practices and then continues to do evil business practice and doesn't even do anything good for humanity? Or somebody who may or may not have done shady business practices, but then uses that money to advance our species into places that we could have never achieved without that investment. So I feel people are so short-sighted. People are like getting shit on Elon Musk all the fucking time. And it's like, these are the kind of people who change society. You know, because they have the kind of influence, they have the money and the power and all that. But like, you know, obviously nobody who's a billionaire is really like a, I don't know. It's a really hard judgment call, whether or not you could say that somebody is a good person or not, because that's subjective. I mean, you could just say, like, there's no such thing as good and evil, and literally we're just, like little bacteria just crawling around that somehow managed to create, like, a structure that it lives on, and, like skeletons, and we're just like this jellyfish that created a skeleton, and we're just floating around. Like, that's literally, like, another more advanced species would see us, and we'll just see, like, what we see when we see jellyfish.